Hello and welcome to another installment of Metallic Reviews, the show where I take an honest look at the harder, heavier side of music and give it an honest rating. Hey kids, what do you get when three former members of perennial drama magnets The Faceless grab a new guitarist and decide to make death metal that's the notational equivalent of chopping vegetables? You get the Zenith Passage! Yes, these tech death veterans have been around for a little bit, but they haven't released anything, and I mean anything, since 2016. So it's been a long time. Now, you might have guessed from the video's title and the entire opening spiel that they plugged that particular gap by releasing Datalysium out July 21st on Metal Blade. And we are going to take this choppy album and chop it up into little bite-sized pieces and examine it. Now, this is only their second album, and their first since jumping to Metal Blade from Unique Leader. Now, did the gap hurt? Did it help? Let's jump in and find out. Now, the first thing that strikes me about the record is the artwork and its connection to a lot of the lyricism on here. In extremely broad terms, this is something of a concept album, or at least it's an album with a heavy theme on man's increasing use of technology and how divinity could potentially be fused with it. I guess very sci-fi epic stuff. While it doesn't out and out say that we're beginning to worship our devices, which, I mean, let's be honest, we are, it does definitely stray into it, what with multiple mentions of gods and algorithms being assimilated into one giant soup of soup. That's the only way to describe it. The album art, which somewhat parodies the Sistine Chapel ceiling, features a human arm reaching for a robotic one in direct correlation with God and Adam reaching for each other. So I thought that was a very interesting start to things. In terms of music, you're getting tech death at its finest, and also tech death at its most overindulgent. Some of the stuff on here is just masterful. Album opener The Axiom of Error is a great bit of face-melting fun, and vocalist Derek Rydquist just pounds away, matching the rhythmic chops note for note, which is one of my personal favorite parts of tech death. I also like the opening riff on Algorithmic Salvation and the beautiful atmosphere created on the outro to Synaptic Deprivation. Another great moment is the transition between Div Inertia 1 and Div Inertia 2. It's just seamless. It's beautiful. The two tracks just blend into each other very nicely. There are a lot of moments on here where the band are willing to really fall away from the main soundscape and add in these touches of keys, these more atmospheric elements. It all just works very, very, very nicely. The main structure, however, remains purely tech death. There's all the guitar noodling that any fan would find satisfying, topped off by solos upon solos. Each note is precisely placed and played with all the skill of a master craftsman, thanks to guitarists Christopher Beatty and Justin McKinney. There's a lot of palm muting and more chugging than the average train here, but it all fits. Nothing feels half thought out, nor does it feel half finished. It's also not tuned down too much. Doesn't quite stray into that gurgling lower death metal, death-core area. It's very, very clean. It's thick, it's chunky, but in all the right ways, helping keep the listener engaged throughout the runtime. Yet, I will admit, it's predictable. It's very predictable, but a lot of it does work, and it works well. Now, as good as it is that they've stuck to those choppy rhythmic guns, there are a few things that need a little touching up. Possibly the biggest is that they don't really have a drummer on this album. Everything on here is programmed by McKinney. Now, I'm not going to get into an argument about, programmed drums versus live drums. No. But, you know what? I am going to get into that argument. To me, programmed drums just don't sound as raw or visceral as the real thing. The drumming here is much too clean, it's much too nice, it's much too on the nose. Now, I want to give the band the benefit of the doubt. They do play a very specific form of tech death, and tech death drummers aren't exactly a dime a dozen. But at the same time, even with programmed drums, I'd like them to be a bit more real. Certainly with the amount of technology at humanity's disposal, like they sing about on this album, there must be a way to do so. Another issue I have is the way some of the songs just kind of fizzle. I'm not really talking about the atmospheric stuff. I'm talking about they'll just kind of be going along. They'll hit this amazing atmospheric section, and there's nothing to back it up afterward. They do return to the chunky stuff, but it sounds out of place after those types of bridges and musical transitions. Now again, I'm all for atmosphere, more melodic stuff, especially in this type of metal. I'm a post-metal junkie, yeah. However, you have to know what to do with the succeeding time, and it feels like some of the songs just don't quite get there. They're almost there, but they just don't quite get there. But all in all, Zenith Passage have put out a very solid tech death record. I don't think it's quite as good as the stuff we've gotten from Archspire here recently, but it's still enjoyable. If you like your metal chunky and deftly organized in its own scattering weirdness, then I'd recommend this one. If that doesn't suit you, I'd look elsewhere. But still, I'm giving Datalysium a technical, very solid 3.5 out of 5. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to click like and smash that subscribe button. Next week, we're going to be shifting gears back into deathcore. We're going back into the lower realms of the chunkiness as we examine Sign of the Swarm's new one, Amongst the Low and Empty. I hope you join me. You've been watching Metallic Reviews, where I give honest ratings to honest music, and I will see y'all next time.